From an article at electryan.org, Lawlessness in Hawaii County. An ongoing protest erupted in mid-July of 2019, mostly Kanaka in Hawaii, where around 500 people gathered on Mauna Kea to stop the building of the 30-meter telescope. Roughly 30 people were arrested on July 17th for obstructing a public road. Since then, the police have backed down. Governor Ige has backed down, and the mayor of Hawaii County, Harry Kim, has backed down. In the place of law and order, there has emerged an air of lawlessness and chaos. It is cause for many to be concerned, as there has been a steady rise in hate crimes of Kanaka, aka Native Hawaiians, against Haole, aka foreigners, usually meaning white people. When the government refuses to enforce the law, and when lawlessness, violence, and other forms of obstruction go without consequence, a lot of noticeable changes happen. Namely, there is a certain air of entitlement amongst protesters and their supporters. They seem to believe that since they are allowed to block a permitted project and public road, that they will have no consequences for any of their illegal actions going forward. Lately, based on internet conversations, both on YouTube and Facebook, there have been a lot of what would normally be considered illegal threats being waged by protesters against supporters of the 30-meter telescope. Some of these are death threats, and some of these are less serious, but violent and illegal all the same. There seems to be no slowing of the violent threats being dealt online, and from what I have heard from authoritative sources, also in person. This is one press conference that law enforcement held with Governor David Ige, and the violent threats that were sent to police officers, and the death threats as well, were played during this press conference.
Permitted structure at Pu'uhululu was removed. This post appeared. It's a $5,000 reward offered for the identity of the law enforcement officer who was part of that very tense and volatile operation to safely remove that unpermitted, unauthorized structure last Friday. We have addressed the events surrounding this particular incident on multiple occasions, but I hope that we can all agree that putting a bounty on the head of a law enforcement officer is disturbing and deeply concerning. It's dangerous. This law enforcement officer showed up to work that day, and he was doing his job when he found himself in an untenable situation. I hope that we can all agree he does not deserve to be targeted like this. Other state employees have also been subjected to these kinds of targeted threats. Here we have an excerpt from a post that targeted an employee who was involved in that operation to remove the structure that day. This post actually had a picture of that employee underneath it. There was also a live stream that was going on at the same time the operation was happening. During the course of this live stream, this employee's name, his phone number, where he lives, was published throughout social media. Following the events, he received an audio message to his voicemail. Other employees have received such voicemails. We thought it was important for the public to hear this particular voicemail, if we could play it.
How you can even say mahalo? How you can even call yourself Hawaiian, you clown? How you's a clown, dog. Everybody in Oahu know this number. Everybody on Maui know this number. Everybody on Kauai, Molokai, Big Island, everybody know your number, crack. You're a clown. You choose to stand for your job and your people. Your people is suffering and you watch it go down. Clown, I hope you die.
So that voicemail ended with, "I hope you die." These are disturbing. These are the kind of threats, these are the kind of types of attacks that state employees are receiving, and we ask all, on all sides of this, to condemn that kind of action.
These threats were very serious, and the person even used their own voice and did not disguise their threats at all towards law enforcement. David Ige and many other politicians and authorities have received similar threats. Recently on social media, I have received several violent threats as well, and I have documented some of them, and I have screenshot all of them. When I displayed my documented evidence of these threats, one of the many waging these threats tried to turn it around on me and pretend like I was threatening him. And what I had said was that I have a gun, and I believe in the Second Amendment. I am not looking to cause any violence towards anybody, but I am going to defend myself. That is not a threat, that is a promise. And this is a reference from a video that I made called Institutional and Cultural Racism in Hawaii from October 3rd, 2019. A lot of the recent threats from October 18th and 19th have occurred from a few of the usual kind here. This is University of Hawaii on Mauna Kea, Why Are We Stuck? A video from Big Island Video News. Beyond that, there are hate crimes after hate crimes happening in Hawaii right now and from the recent past. Yesterday, I watched the news and saw two Kanaka who beat a haole with a shovel until he was unconscious while screaming racial insults at him. They were let off with almost no consequence, with just probation. This is from Hawaii News Now that talk about Christopher Kunzelman, who was the victim of that hate crime and whose attackers were let off with just probation. And then another violent racial hate crime was given, has not been ruled on, but has been given much leniency. A man was charged with an attempted murder of a police officer, and the man had tried to drown the police officer, meanwhile screaming racial epithets at him as well. This was just from October 6, 2019. Hate crime after hate crime. It's almost a weekly thing in Hawaii. So much and for so long that even the Southern Poverty Law Center, which has a reputation of not reporting hate crimes against Caucasians, but typically only focuses on hate crimes against people of other ethnicities than Caucasian, has reported that hate crimes and the reasoning for it in Hawaii. This is an article from the SPLC from 2009. You might think, quote, this is old news, unquote, except for nothing has changed since 2009. It has only gotten worse. And the constant reports in the local news is my evidence of that. So my petition to Governor Ige, to Mayor Kim, and to law enforcement officers is to either enforce the law or admit surrender so that citizens can make a decision on who to hire in 2020. And also, so that we can push to be able to defend ourselves via open carry laws of our firearms in Hawaii. If the government and law enforcement cannot protect citizens, citizens need to be able to protect themselves. Again, this is from Ryan Thompson on electryan.org from October 19th, 2019.
You brought this coffee, please? No, my nephew brought this. Well, your nephew, bring your nephew. What the fuck you up? What the fuck you guys doing down there?
You're trespassing.
Huh? No, fuck you. Fuck are you?
My name's Chris.
Huh? You cut the fuck you up. Who the fuck are you?
My name's Chris.
Huh?
And this is my house.
Who the fuck give you the right to come down here?
Everybody.
Everybody. Who is everybody?
The title.
Who the fuck is that? That title is bullshit.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna tell you one time only, bro. If I come back here and you fucking here, I'm gonna fuck your shit up. And I'm gonna fuck you up, right? No. Pack your shit, get the fuck out. The shit is fucking over. Pack your shit, get the fuck out. Yeah.
Well then, alright, then let's
Do
talk
it.
about this.
No, there's no talking about it. You guys pack your shit, get the fuck out. It's such a guy's spot. This is fucking phone. You guys don't belong here.
Believe, man.
No.
I was gonna try
I swear to God. No. You guys pack your shit and get the fuck out. So you guys can go missing. I swear to God. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not fucking around, bro. You sure?
Yeah,
huh?
sure.
How many fucking times you sure?
I'm sure.
Fuck you. Pack your shit, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Tell you, pack your fucking shit right now, bro. Come up there, box your fucking face. Give me a minute. Come on, get the fuck out of here. Now you gotta get fucking money. The fucking money.
Hey, is my uncle okay?
Oh, shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here. Worry about yourself. Get the fuck up. Hurry shit, get the fuck out. Hurry the fuck up.
I'm hurrying up.
Stop being a little bitch and hurry the fuck up.
Listen, you already hit me over the head.
Stop being a little bitch and hurry the fuck up. You're talking too much. Use your fucking head. Use a holler, yeah? That's what that fucking brains, yeah? There's no deal. No deal. You don't fucking belong here. That's the deal. Fucking deal. You may buy the house, but you ain't buying shit at. You should have listened one fucking time.
Please.
You should have listened one fucking time. That's what. Bring the fucking cop. Bring the fucking cop.
Have a beer and relax, man. I'm moving my stuff. Seriously, have a beer. I
don't give a fuck about the beer.
I know you don't, but
Wire the fuck up, then.
I'm hurrying.
Get out. Stop. You think we're stupid, huh?
No, I don't think you're stupid at all.
You're stupid.
Oh, come on.
What are you phone? Do that.
Easy.
Huh?
Easy. Easy.
Now fuck this.
Easy.
Fuck you, fuck.
Easy.
Fuck you. I should shoot you with this fuck.
Don't do that, man. Don't do that, man.
Who's got a gun?
Nobody. Nobody has a gun. Nobody. Oh, God. Ah, fuck. Come on. Easy. Easy. I'm waiting. Give me my uncle. Give me my uncle. Give me my uncle. Where's my uncle?
Don't fucking go in.
Give me my uncle. Give me my uncle.
Where the fuck are you? Get the fuck in.
I'm leaving. Come on, man.
The fuck up.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
Fuck you.
I'm leaving. Easy. Fuck that.
There he is.
Don't do
There
it.
he is. Hey. Hey. There he is. Fucking come in. There he is. Right there. Fucking back there for your ass. Hey. Hey. What a gun. What a fucking gun. He drunk. That's what. Where's the fucking gun?
Come on, man.
Fuck.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Come on.
You better watch what you're doing.
Watch out. I'm leaving. Leave me alone.
Current gun laws in Hawaii regarding carrying a firearm read like this. May issue by statute, but no issue in practice. The chief of police may grant a permit in an exceptional case, when an applicant shows reason to fear injury to the applicant's person or property. In practice, Hawaii is no issue, as issuing authorities rarely or never approve applications for permits. In March 2014, the Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals ruled Hawaii's restrictive concealed carry policy unconstitutional. An en banc panel reversed the initial ruling in June 2015, holding that the Constitution guarantees no right to concealed carry in public. However, this heavy restriction is in clear defiance of the Second Amendment and is currently being challenged with much success in the Supreme Court by Gary Young, a Vietnam veteran, who has fought for years to get Hawaii State in compliance with the U.S. Constitution. On July 24, 2018, Young scored his first victory. In a 2-1 ruling, a 3-judge panel of the normally liberal Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals found here Young has a Second Amendment right to carry a firearm in public. Source: https://www.reuters.com/. Overview: the panel reversed the district court's dismissal of claims brought against the County of Hawaii, dismissed plaintiff's appeal as to the state of Hawaii, and remanded. In plaintiff's 42 U.S.C. 1983 action alleging that the denial of his application for a handgun license violated his Second Amendment right to carry a loaded firearm in public for self-defense. Source: https://dussel.org/. Lately, with the serious amounts of hate crimes and the heating up of the Mauna Kea protest in Hawaii, it is more important than ever for the state to issue permits for gun owners to open carry their firearms. The police have been, at best, inept and, at worst, complacent in dealing with the lawlessness in Hawaii. First, regarding the protesters illegally blocking the summit road to Mauna Kea, and also with the vast amounts of hate crimes popping up all over the state. Recently, prosecutors gave 2 assailants, of what would normally be considered a brutal hate crime, probation after 2 Kanaka beat a white man with a shovel until he lost consciousness, all the while screaming racial epithets at him. Christopher Kunzelman showed great restraint, as he owned a gun, he had it with him legally on his own property, and decided not to use it. However, I think at this point he wishes that he would have used it, as he was severely injured, and he has lost access to his home in Maui. There were practically no consequences to the assailants. It seems corruption by both the police and the prosecutors were the cause of the lack of punishment for these attackers. If the police and the judicial system won't protect Hawaii residents, then we must be able to defend ourselves. References: https www.washingtonexaminer.com. The de facto gun carry permit ban in Hawaii forces applicants to prove an urgent or exceptional need for carrying a firearm. I would say, with the rise of hate crimes in Hawaii and the prevalence of unchecked lawlessness in Hawaii, the urgent and exceptional need is clearly met. https://www.thetruthAboutGuns.com. Let's make Hawaii safe and free. Join me at www.electryan.org.
Nobody has a gun. Nobody.
Two men who attacked a homeowner on Maui in 2014 have finally been sentenced to probation and time served, and tonight the victim's outraged. He's accusing police and prosecutors of corruption. Chris Kunzelman says he bought that home in Kahakuloa Village for his sick wife to live out the rest of her life. There was some question over the easement to the property. He says he asked police to come with him as he met the neighbors, but they refused. This is what happened instead. The video lasts 23 minutes and it only gets worse. Within moments, several neighbors attack Chris Kunzelman and his uncle and order them to remove their belongings and leave.
They even said at one point, it's nothing personal. You just have the wrong effing color skin.
Kunzelman suffered broken ribs and a huge gash where he was hit with a shovel. He says he had a gun, but threw it in some bushes.
And right before I went unconscious, I made the decision that I was not going to shoot them. I would just prefer to die than to take their lives.
They trashed his house and threatened to kill him. Kunzelman and his uncle finally escaped. Then he realized his ordeal had only just begun.
So the policeman was interviewing me, and I kept telling him what happened, the racist things that they were saying to me, that this was a hate crime, that they told me that the only reason they were beating me was because of the color of my skin. And the policeman never wrote it down. And I kept saying, please write that down. And he said, no, it's up here. I have it.
He says police failed to collect evidence. Then prosecutors caused numerous delays. And after other legal issues, the case was at risk of being dismissed with prejudice, meaning no do-overs.
Sometimes great cases go to trial and the great side loses. And that's one of the reasons why prosecutors enter into plea deals.
And that's exactly what prosecutors did, dropping numerous charges to avoid trial. Kaulana Alo Kaonohi pleaded no contest to assault and served a year in jail, but was allowed to leave for work every day. Levi Aki Jr. pleaded no contest to terroristic threatening and got credit for 6 months in jail. Both men apologized.
But I can look at you dead in the face and say that I was wrong, and I apologize. I really do.
Would you let him go back to his house?
Of course. He's a human being.
Come on, man!
Despite that offer, Kunzelman says he has not been allowed back to his house because the neighbors chained his gate. More than 5 years later, he's still stunned that this is how it ends.
The only word that I can come up with is corruption. Both of them got probation and absolutely nothing. They got off scot-free.
5 months after that beating, Kaonohi allegedly launched an unprovoked attack on a stranger in a bar. He was recently sentenced to a year in jail for that. Today, the Maui prosecutor's office did not return our calls for